Coming past the 8th pole, it's Ruffian in front by 7 lengths. Something Regal on the outside, second point in time. The other's now far back as Ruffian draws away to lead by 9. It's Ruffian in front and going easily.
Hello, it's Bob Pandolfo on Saturday, June 10th, 2023, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the Belmont Stakes and show you who I picked here. But my picks will be on my website on the free page today for the Belmont Stakes itself, not for the whole card, but my whole card picks are available. But it's an interesting race. I think it's a better race than the Preakness, which was a pretty weak field. I had the winner in the Preakness. This was National Treasure, who went off at 290 to 1, but he was the only speed in the race, and it wasn't a very good field. I mean, there really wasn't many options in that race. It was like you either picked him or Madge, the favorite. All the other horses really didn't look that good. But this is a much more competitive field, and of course it's at 1.5 miles. It's a much more difficult race to win. So I think there's quite a few horses that could win. Tapit Trice, I didn't use this horse because of his race in the Derby, but he could bounce back. He didn't race that well in the Derby. I don't think he had an excuse. Now, the horse that I picked here, I picked a long shot named Hit Show. I have a system called the pace shape method, which is a spot play long shot angle, and from my book, Pace Handicapping Long Shots. And this horse, Hit Show, is the only horse in the race that fits that angle. Now, as you know, the Derby was a fast-paced race. As you can see, it went 45-3 to the half, which is quick for a 1.25 mile race, especially for these young horses that haven't raced that far. And of course, Hit Show had only raced 5 times coming into the Derby, and he was close to the pace. There are only 2 horses that were close to the pace that finished, fairly well. That didn't finish up the track. One was Two Phils, who finished second in the race, and the other was Hit Show. All the other horses that were up there, like the horse that won, Mage and Angel of Empire, they came from far back, which was an advantage because the pace was so fast. Two Phils, who finished the game second, I thought got a little bit better trip than Hit Show because he came up the inside, whereas Hit Show had the race wide on the turn. And you can see that he's only 3.5 back at the first call, which was quick. He was also close at the first fraction, which was a very fast fraction. And then at the second call, he hustled into contention wide. He was only 1.5 lengths off, and he was hanging in there pretty good in the stretch. He just kind of got tired a little bit in like the final 16th of the race, but only lost by 6.25 lengths. And as far as the pedigree, he's bred to run long, so I don't think that's going to be a big difference, big factor. He should handle the distance. He hasn't run quite fast enough yet, but he still has room to improve, and I think he's worth the price. I like the fact that, he put in an effort in the Derby that I thought was probably better than it looks on paper. The horse I picked second is Forte. And so Forte, as you probably know, would have been the favorite in the Derby, but he had a bruised foot, so they had to scratch him. But he hasn't missed his works. If you look at the way these horses have worked, Pletcher and Brad Cox both didn't work until like the 21st or so. So you see Forte worked on the 21st, and you can see Hit Show worked on the 21st, and Angel of Empire worked on the 21st. So they have the same pattern. They gave him a little bit of time off the track and probably just let him gallop slow after the Derby, and then put him back into training. There are hesitations. I can understand people have hesitations about Forte. He did have the bruised foot. He may have missed a few gallops, which could hurt his conditioning, although he does show the 3 breezes just like all the other horses since the Derby. His pedigree, I thought was fine for the Derby because there were a number of Derby winners in his pedigree line. On both sides, but Violence, the sire, is a speed influence, and going 1.5 miles could be pushing it. But he's a really game horse, and he's always coming on at the end. So I would imagine he'll race well, and he's never that far back. In the Florida Derby, he was 9th, but if you look at these races, he's usually not too far back. So I put him second, and then I put Angel of Empire third. Angel of Empire, now this is another horse that, his pedigree is not really ideal for a mile and a half, but, he finished very strong. You see his late pace rating here in the Arkansas Derby, it's a 108. And then in the Kentucky Derby, he was very far back, and he made a very nice move to get, to hustle into contention on the turn, and he held well. He had the pace in his advantage, but still that's a lot of ground that he made up. That does take up a lot of energy. So now they're going to add blinkers to try to keep him closer to the pace. Like I said, some people that, really like to look at pedigrees, are not going to think this horse is going to get the mile and a half, but he has raced well as the distances got longer. So I put him third, and Brad, you have to respect this trainer, Brad Cox. He's the highest percentage winner in the sport now of the top trainers. It's like the top 5 trainers, the Pletchers and trainers like that, Mike Maker and Asmussen and Baffert. Right now he has the highest win percentage on the year at 27%, and so he's tough in these races, and he's the type of trainer. He's young enough where he might win a lot of these major these Triple Crown races throughout his career. As far as the speed, again, it looks like the Baffert horse National Treasure will be on the lead. I picked him in the Preakness, but I didn't like him here, and he really got a slow pace in the Preakness. As you can see here, they went 113 and 2, 48 and 4. Nobody challenged him, and he didn't pull away the way a lot of the Baffert horses do. Where they just kind of re-break in the stretch. He hung in there. But the thing is, he should have won that race with the slow pace that he had, and that was a weaker field in this. So I think he'll be on the lead again, but I think he'll get challenged. Now the horse I put fourth is Art Angelo, and this horse, Jenna Antonucci, and if you're not familiar with her, the Antonucci family is from harness racing originally. They bred horses, they train horses, very, very good horse people, and she's a fine trainer, and she's been in the business now a few years, and she knows what she's doing. These people, the Antonuccis, they know horses. Believe me, they know how to train horses. They know how to do everything about horses, whether it's breeding horses or raising horses, training horses. So, and this horse is only raced 4 times. Has a very good pedigree for a mile and a half. This is probably, quite possibly the best pedigree in the race for this distance. You can see over here you have the ADWs, which is the average wind distance. For Arrogate, the average wind distance is 7.8, which is very high. And then, of course, this horse is out of a Tappet mare, so that's a lot of distance in the pedigree. And you can see here the late pace rating on Bristnet here for the Peter Pan, which was over this track, was 122, so that's very high. Now, I have in my Power Pace program, on the late number here, you can see that Archangel has a 142, which is the highest in the race. So, this is a horse that, that's a good number to look at for a race like this, like the Belmont Stakes. Now, the horse is a little, lightly raced coming in here. This is a race, it's a hard race to win, off only 4 starts, but you can see that the horse has improved every start. So, and the works are fine, the horse is training well. So, that horse may have a chance at a price. I think it's a pretty wide open race, and there's not a lot of speed, so it's going to be interesting to see who goes after National Treasure, but I don't think they'll let him, get too relaxed like he did in the Preakness. So, if you want to check my selections out, I'll put the link below. As you can see, I put them on the free page here today, the Belmont Stakes. Here's my pick, hit show. The MA means it fits my pace shape method, and there's Forte second. And these are my odds, which are very similar to the morning line odds. But anyway, it's going to be a good race. I think it's going to be an exciting race. Good luck today, and remember to subscribe to my channel. It's free, and this way I can keep putting videos up on YouTube. And good luck.